Okay, hello everybody. For the people who don't know me, my name is Majeed, and the presentation today will be about data compression. Okay, the presentation will be briefly cover this area: what is data compression, the essential requirements, the main two types of compression, some of data compression principles, and finally the conclusion. Okay, what is data compression? Data compression simply means reducing the amount of data required to be saved or a bit of freight needed to be transmitted by discarding some of the original data of it. In other words, if you have a file and you need to save it in your computer, you could use data compression instead of sending the whole file. And I'm sure that all of you come across or have heard about the MBIG or the GBIG, which is the most obvious examples of data compression. Okay, essentially any data compression system must have two basic components. The first one is called encoder, which takes the original data and generates a compressed representation for it with a fewer bits. And the second one is called decoder, which reconstructs the original data from the compressed representation or the approximation of it. And it's usually at the end of the system, which is a decoder. And these two components usually tie together since they have to understand the shared file. Generally, compression takes two different approaches in order to minimize the data, one of which is known as lossless compression and the other is called lossy compression. And you can easily distinguish the difference between them from their names. Alright, first of all, lossless compression. Lossless compression allows the exact original data to be reconstructed from the compressed representation. In other words, by using lossless compression, you will end up with the same original data exactly and precisely. In one sense, this is the ultimate ideal for compression. Nonetheless, lossless compression has its own drawbacks, as its compression ratio is relatively small and very depending on the input data. As you can see in this picture, you can see there's no loss at all between the two pictures. They all look pretty the same. Okay, second approach that data compression uses is called lossy compression. And lossy compression basically allows the approximation of the original data to be reconstructed from the compressed representation, which means that there is a loss in the original data. Lossless compression commonly used in multimedia data, such as audio, video, and internet telephony, where a little bit of loss in resolution is often undetectable, or at least acceptable. As you may notice in these pictures, you can see that there is a little bit of loss in this cute cat face, but however it doesn't affect on the main information. Okay, let's move on to the data compression principles. There are many principles of data compressions. Some of them are general and the others are associated with pictures. Okay, first one is called run length code. Run length code basically works by reducing the amount or the physical size of successive run of data are transmitted. In other words, if you have an information source and that source sending a long series of identical elements, you could use RLC to send the code of these elements instead of sending the whole series. And typically this code usually consists of two bytes. First one represents the value of this long series, and the other bytes represent the number of the long series. The second principle is called variable length code. Variable length code uses a conversion table in order to encode the most probable accurate values with a short length code and the less frequent values with a longer code, resulting in average length. Okay, These principles or these standards are associated with pictures. The JPEG, which stands for Joint Photographer Expert Group, and the MPEG, which is stand for Moving Picture Experts. And in order to get a compressed image by using these standards, you could use or you could come across these techniques. First one is decomposition the picture into blocks. And you can see in this picture, the picture elementary like divided into many blocks, and every block represent 64 pixels. And you can reduce the color resolution easily by using this method. Ultimately, data compression is an essential need in today's technology, especially with these high definition TVs and digital broadcasting. Moreover, almost all these images that we got from the internet are usually compressed in one way or the other. Thank you very much. That's all for today. Any questions?
Thank you very much.
Thanks.